Okay, so I will turn the video off here. So I've got my stream going on YouTube again. So this is just to record how you would deal with the situation here. So if you don't have your paper printed, this is for the isometric 3D assignment that we are working on now. So what you need to do is set your scale level in your PDF viewer so that you get exactly 8.5 inches measured width on your screen. And once you've got that, then you can switch over and measure whatever you've got to do in this assignment using your metric scale. Because we'll be doing all this isometric stuff in, generally speaking here, for the parts anyway, we'll be doing that in metric. Once we do some architectural stuff, we'll switch over to the imperial scale for that. Okay, so that's that. So I am going to take the camera now, and y'all are going to get really dizzy if you're watching this on YouTube, because I've got to spin the camera around. It's going to do the big flip, and I got to drop it down into the cradle. Okay, so I've got a printout of this thing here, so we can start talking about how we would start drawing this thing in isometric 3D. So I got my paper here ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to start measuring things, measuring the different bits of this, and just kind of figure out what I've got for dimensions. So I'm going to draw it at 1 to 1. And so what do I got here? I got 78 at the bottom. And then in the other direction here, I've got, looks like about 56. And so now I can begin to start laying this thing out. I need my height for this thing. So this thing is 60. Now I'm going to go to the nearest millimeter here. I'm going to go to 67. And then this thing across, I need to have this so I can start drawing up my my isometric. So this thing's 45 in that direction. You can kind of see the layout of this thing. And then depth at the bottom here, 17. All right, so with our overalls in mind here, overall dimensions, 67 here for the total height. I should have put the dimension down here. Less confusing. Now let's look at putting this whole thing together. So we're going to be doing this isometric circle, but first what we'll do is we'll box out a rectangle for it. Then we'll come back and do the isometric circle for it. Okay, so got to break out the 3060 square here. So what I'm just going to do is just make sure I've got enough room at the bottom here. Oh no, just realized I didn't put my my sheet anywhere in the vicinity where you guys would be able to see it. I got to move it up. Okay, that's better. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to start throwing down some construction lines here. So these things, in terms of where your position can be on the sheet, like based on how big this thing is, you know, it's pretty small. So another thing that we could do is we could blow this thing up so that it's easier to draw, because once we start drawing these curves here, things are going to get a little tough. I'm going to stay at this scale just because of the distance between the phone and the screen, and this will lend itself well to its visibility with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to draw my, so I'm going to first of all draw my isometric right and left axes. So I've got a base plane here. So these things need to intersect. So what these two intersections represent, it's going to represent the bottom of this corner. So right there. Now you can see we've got a hole in it here. And we've got a hole here. So we've got to keep track of where those things are as well. And we've got this little V here, and that's going to present some interest as well. And what I need to do here is just make sure I get the dimensions of this. So to there it's 11. And then the depth of this thing, I'm going to say is 13. Alternatively, what we could do here is, so here we've got this dimension as well, so we could measure that. But or if we want to, we could measure the well, this still ends up being easiest because it's going to be 13 on each side of the 45. So you can kind of see the numbers there and the way that's going to break down. Okay, so that's our bottom corner. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to draw the bottom plate here, this whole area right here. So I've got to come up 17, and then I've got to go over 56 in one direction and then 78 in the other. So here we go. So I'll get my square here, and very precisely from that intersection, up we go. Okay, so there's 15, there's 17 there. So that, if you can see it, you can barely see it, I suppose. That's going to be where I start drawing off the two sides of my plate. So again, I'm going to pull up the square here. And one in the other direction. So then measure our 56 and 78 here. .56. Just realized I started to use my 1 to 10, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter. Okay, and there's my 78 on the other side. So that means that it's going to start finishing off my plate here in each direction. There. Now the back side of the plate, I want to construct that. So again, these are just construction lines. So this is going to be, this will help me figure out where that little sort of tombstone thing sticks up at the back. Everybody always goes, that's so macabre. We're getting close to Halloween. So some of these extra construction lines here I'll just erase so that I can kind of clean things up a little bit and not get confused. Okay, so there's our base plate. Now we've got our rectangle at the back and we need to construct it on the top of what we've just drawn. So I need to get the dimensions for that. Man, it is crazy how damp it is outside. I can feel how the paper is already beginning to absorb moisture as I draw, which kind of sucks because it makes the paper soggy. This is a tough one. So I'm still going to round it to the nearest millimeter, though, just to keep it simple. So that's 17. So 45 by 17. All right. So measure from the top corner here. You can find the, yeah, the instructor's trying to draw with the eraser, huh? Good luck with that. There's 45 there. 17 on the other plane here off to the side. And now we can draw our construction lines for this. And this can go pretty quickly because you could just take this square and just flip it from side to side to draw the two sides of the rectangle. So there we go. So now we can project this thing upwards, and I can actually, I'm going to slightly erase some of these construction lines in the background because this bit here is going to be, that's not going to be seen. These two bits of lines here aren't going to be part of this drawing. Okay, so 67, 17, this should be approximately 50 high. Okay, so that was correct. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, here I'll put a construction line on so I don't screw this up. And then measure 50 upwards. There we go. So from there, we're going to get two lines to draw. And you can kind of see what's going to happen here. Having drawn this one little mark up here at 50, the rest of the thing I can just construct with projected lines. So it's actually pretty straightforward stuff. So here, where these two lines intersect, project the line upwards. From here, we just go back. Like so. And then I'll erase a few of the projection lines. And you guys can see how that is coming together. Hopefully you're all able to see what's going on. I can hear a few of your, you guys are already drafting already in the background. I can hear drafting equipment noises, which is great. Which lets me know that you all are actually alive because you haven't had any questions nor had any of your normal interjections for the morning, which I actually always appreciate. Yeah, thanks, Irene. That's much appreciated. Hey, ain't that the truth? Absolutely. Yeah, no, exactly. It's good to see the smoke definitely gone. And yeah, even my chickens, I don't know where they are. They're at least not raising a ruckus on YouTube. Um, my setup has there's been a lot of amusement in the faculty at the gantry that I built. Some of them also were pretty amused because they asked where they could get chickens to have in their lectures, and I said, well, get your own damn chickens. Maybe they won't interrupt her. My plan, well, I'm undercover, so that's good. The question will be how much background noise. I mean, hopefully the headset will dampen a lot of it. If I have to move inside, I will do so, and I'll punt off all my other kids who are online learning right now, because Daddy needs a ton of space for this stupid thing. So, yeah, getting this thing to fit on the even on the dining table is a bit of a hassle. So next thing we're going to look at here is the notch. So what we have to do is measure. So if you remember our measurements from here, you know, we're going in 13. over 13, over 13, and then back down again. And that's how we're going to construct this 45. So we've got a rectangle of 13 by 26 basically that will help us sort out where this notch digs in. You guys can figure out how to do the opening there. So I'll leave that one with you. But we're going to look at the notch next. So I am going to come down 13 from the corner here. And then I'll measure 13 and 26 for our open, like for the cutout for the rectangle. So there's 13 there. And 26. So now I've got to measure, and I'll start here from the corner because it doesn't really matter where I do it. Okay. So now I can construct the box, the rectangle, rather. That will help me do this cutout. Okay, so then I got the halfway point here, and this will allow me to construct the notch. Okay, so now to draw this, I got to connect these two together, which, hey, look at that. It is a vertical line. Now, if it wasn't a 45, of course, it wouldn't be, but this means we can actually use our set squares for this. So there's the vertical part of the notch. And there's the horizontal. And then I can draw where the cutout begins. So this is the base of the thing, so that's going to project inwards. But I'll finish this one off to draw the notch and project it down to the bottom of the base of this thing. There we go. And then this piece comes across. And that's it. So now, break out the eraser shield here, and we can nuke some of these lines that no longer need to be here. Now, these, of course, are still construction lines, but for me, it's nice to get anything that doesn't need to be there out of the way. So you can see how that got constructed. So I will, just with my construction lines here, I'll just add a little bit more weight so that it'll be easier for you guys to see online here how that's coming together. So that's the notch. So what I'll do here is I'll give you guys, what are we at here? We're at 9:45. I will come back at, I don't know, 10:30, and then we will look at the cube here. So I'll give you guys till 10:30, and then well, no, 10:30 is a bit long. I'll check in with you guys at 10:15 and see where you're at.